Transition Awareness Breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition Awareness Breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
How important is it to manage our stress, our anxiety, our strong emotions? I'd like to share an analogy with you. A life demonstration. Often when I teach students, I use demonstrations or pictures, and it really helps the students understand different concepts that may be complex. And so right now, I'd like for you just to take a moment and just listen to sounds that you may be hearing. Do you hear anything? I'm going to walk around and we're going to explore. I hear kind of like a hissing sound. I know it's not a snake. Okay, come walk with me, please. So here is the hissing sound. Okay, so what we have here, you can see the water hose that has busted a hole in it, and the water is just flowing out.
The water hose was left on, and the nozzle was in the off position. The pressure built up in the water hose, and over time, like a couple of days, the weakest spot in that water hose became more weak and it burst. For a moment, I invite you to think of the water hose as a representation of the vessels in your body. In our bodies, we have many vessels, many nerves, many structures that serve to allow blood to flow in our bodies. The lymphatic system allows fluids to flow through our bodies to keep us healthy and balanced. Imagine if one of those vessels or nerves are tense and the pressure inside that vessel grows stronger, the pressure inside, and there's no release of that pressure, what happens is the exact thing that happens to the water hose. The vessel becomes weak, and unfortunately, sometimes the vessels burst. The fluids that were meant to be inside the vessel to provide nourishment to the different organs of the body, now that fluid is flowing all throughout our body system, our muscles, our tissues, and the body is in shock. Being aware of our tensions, our stress, and pressures is so important because it gives us information that now it is time to breathe, to allow ourselves in a mindful fashion, in a calm fashion, because we don't want to build up more pressure, it is now time to release some of the pressure. And through research, mindful breathing is a technique that helps us release the tension and provides more oxygen into our bodies. For the grass, okay, so it was water that was coming out of the water hose, and the grass received extra water. And it seems like, well, that was a good thing. But actually, if there's too much water, it erodes the landscape because that water continues to flow in one spot.
So in the management
not really giving
of stress,
the lawn,
if we're allowing ourselves to explode
of watering
and to do damage to ourselves through overeating, over drinking, over emotions, overstimulating, staying up all night or all day, we're flooding our body and we're not allowing ourselves to think. Our brain is overwhelmed. Taking the mindful breath allows us to slow our body down, to slow to release the stress so that we can have mindful thoughts, strategic thoughts, mindful judgments, strategic judgments. And so this is the example and the reason why the mindful anchor breath is so important.
New example. Example number 2. Okay. So can you see inside there? Can you tell what that is? I'm going to pull this back a little bit from the camera. And kind of turn it. Can you tell yet? Back it up. This. Handy dandy water nozzle, and if you only had it for less than a year, look at the buildup inside of there. The water is very harsh here and it leaves a lot of deposits. So I would like you to kind of just take note and remember what the inside of this water nozzle looks like, the buildup. Now, and if the buildup continues, it's going to block the water flow, right? If the water flow is blocked, then if this was our body, our vessels, then we would be sick. So our goal and our focus is to learn how to be aware of our bodies, just like we are so attentive to our gardening equipment or equipment to take care of our car. We inspect it, we look it over. Let's take a moment and I invite you to just reflect. Over these past few weeks, has your eating habits changed? Has your sleeping habits changed? How is your temperament? How are you feeling? And we're not going to run away from our feelings, and we're not going to pass judgment on our feelings. We're just doing a self-awareness check. We're looking over our equipment, and we want to pay attention to maybe things that we're doing throughout our day. Are we really giving our body an even distribution of ways to cope with stress, anxiety, and anger? The breath is a most convenient way
and the most important way to release tension and stress. Talking with others, talking with a professional is so important for the release of anger. Giving ourselves time to practice reality allows us to practice basic coping skills because our environment is so virtual. It is so, the new term is artificial intelligence, but maybe it's an artificial reality. Reality. And in that reality, I can come up with plans to deal with, like, my brown lawn and recognize what's really going on is that it's heat stressed.
Now, we've had a pretty dry season here in Texas.
And everything has been heat stressed, brown, dead looking, and it just looked hopeless. We have gotten notification from our homeowners association that we needed to replace our lawn because everything was dry and dead. In the middle of the summer, when the temperatures were well beyond 100. Without any judgment, I'm just going to say, when things are stressed, they don't necessarily die, but they're trying to save themselves. It goes into a dormant phase, and because it knows that, it's grass or vegetation, it knows that it cannot survive in 100 and over 100 degrees temperatures. So it stops growing, and what is left is the dead vegetation on top of the soil. However, the roots and the seeds of that vegetation is just waiting to be watered. In summary, I invite you to join me in a reflection. The grass around me was dormant. I have been dormant. The grass around me has been stressed. I have been stressed. I release and I breathe, and the rain of calmness is bringing forth new growth. The growth is not the same. The growth is new creativity. I still have more growth to grow through. Like the grass, there's still some dry spots. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to look for ways without judgment to refresh my new growth, because we all have to look forward to a new day. And maybe this is hard, and we're not ready to be ready for somebody else, and that's okay.
We're taking one step at a time to be ready for ourselves, to bring forth a new creativity. I wish you calmness, and I wish you much, much peace. Peace from within and peace from within. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to talking to you again next time.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.